for so long. Tunaishi under neo-colonial state, which in many ways, especially in recent years, if you look keenly, you see that it's fashioned in the image of the colonial state. Sasa, will we exchange a white colonialist for a black colonialist? If these people report to their masters across the ocean, let them go and report to them. Sisi now, kitu tunawaambia ni sisi mtatuacha tukae huru. And so the only thing I can say is that, comrades, please do not be intimidated. In our organization, Kongamano la Mapinduzi, 3 members of our leadership were arrested and taken to court last week. Comrade Generali, Comrade Garang, Comrade Chebukati. And we all know that they've done nothing. They're being charged with having caused all the violence. Yet we all know they've done nothing. I think the one thing we have to recognize is that our struggle is a just and righteous struggle. Secondly, we have to recognize that the people are the motive force of history. It is the people who create history. Sasa sisi tutokee kesho kwa sababu it is the people who are our mountains. So pia tusitishwe, tusiuziwe uoga, tutokee kwa sababu hii mambo yote ni our constitutional obligation. Actually under Article 10, tuonyeshe patriotism. I think showing up for SABASABA is one of the highest forms of patriotism because we are simply asking the system stop killing us. Secondly, it is also part of our generational responsibility to create that new society for ourselves and our children. Nitaachia hapo ndio nisiongee sana. Asante sana comrade for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you, Sungu. But before we go, we have to answer Dolphin's question as she's on her way to Nairobi. She says, I'm not sure where she's coming from. She says, what is happening now is not working. And I'm not sure what working means in her construction of the question. Could we instead do this on a daily basis until our ends are achieved? So could you answer that part of the question before you leave?
Kitu tu naweza sema ni maybe just to pick up from something I mentioned earlier when I was speaking a few seconds ago, that our struggle is a just and righteous struggle. Our struggle is also a clash between two forces that are diametrically opposed to each other. On one side, we have the oppressors. On the other side, we have the oppressed. The oppressors are not sleeping any day of the week. And so on the side of the oppressed, we cannot engage in struggle as a part-time process. I think lazima tu tuendelee kukanyaga miguu, accelerator, hiyo nini ya mafuta. How do you call it? Yeah, it's called the accelerator. I think we have to continuously put more energy on the pedal and push forward. Struggling or protesting for one day can be a show of might, but then we have to recognize that this is a system built over a long period of time, and uprooting it means that our struggle must also be a protracted process. And so I think lazima tuende beyond one day, beyond 1 week, and until we are able to, at least on the minimum, achieve the most minimum of our demands. It cannot be a one-day process. Asante.
Thank you very much. So now let me hand over to those who have been waiting for a while with great thanks for your patience. Odinga Andrew, are you on? Those of you on this who already have speakership, just raise your hand if you're ready to speak, and I'll hand the mic to you. Foreman, are you with us? Chesongol Joshua.
Okay, I'm not in a position, but I'm part and parcel of tomorrow.
Perfect. Now, I see we have Wanjiru online. I'd like to invite her to speak, but before she does, because Professor Kibwana, I see your charge has not disappeared yet. You're still with us. If you're with us, I think it would be good for you, given that you are such an active part of the second liberation and the struggles that you went through, there might be some tips and some thoughts that you have for the Gen Zs today that might be helpful in achieving the goals of the struggle. We have lost so many. We have bled as a country. We are all traumatized. And what we're experiencing, I think, is in many ways far more bloody than what the country has seen in a long time. So maybe you have some reflections you can make as Wanjira Wanjiru prepares herself and her remarks.
I think, Mamka, what I can say is, first of all, the scale of the current uprising is greater than what happened in the 90s because of the possibility of mobilizing on ways which were not, because we used we used more of physical ways of, organizing. You see, even the radio or TV, they were careful not to be used for purposes of mobilization because the regime then could not allow media, and even there was a time they would shut them completely so that there was only KBC in operation. So the scale of organizing, even the scale of people coming out is massive. And similarly, the scale of the violence, because in the 90s, there was an attempt always to look for the more older organizers and arrest them, beat them up, get them to go into exile and so on. And of course, although some of the students, especially university students, were chased from the university, even imprisoned, but on the whole, it was the older generation that was being targeted. But this time, we have seen now the young people are very viciously, targeted. I think in the 90s, we used even to have marshals, and we would think through how the demonstrations would happen, so that there was an element of also organizing them in, if I can say, a scientific way, so that we would be able to say the do's and the don'ts, something that Law Society, through faith, previously, had been doing, like saying what are the do's and don'ts, and even how to combat some of those goons, so that it's not just a question of fighting back, but a question of ideologically trying to influence them. And even from the places where we knew they were coming from, we would also try to have a conversation with them and invite people from those areas into the meetings of the NCA meetings, into civic education, because you have to turn around. The people will be used. And I like the point that Okiya made about the police, that there's a sense in which some of the police are getting tired. Some of the police, because we tried also to make friendship with some of the police and to tell them that, we are really fighting even for their rights, the rights of all Kenyans. And that's something that requires, tact, because if you demonize all the police, then that is not right, because there are some who don't, like what is happening, and that has to be taken into account. Although eventually there'll have to be massive reform of the police service. So I think the more the progressive forces organize together and make debates together and conversations together, that is how, even in terms of how you do demonstrations, because it's true, as Sungwa said, you cannot do demonstrations for too long. People get tired, because they have also to earn and so on. So you have to get demonstrations to also be supplemented by other organizations. And that is what I was trying to plead with Okiya, that, the common organization that is seen, it also protects people. It moves forward fast. When people, are arrested, hurt, injured, and so on, something that is also being done by Law Society, treatment, IMLU, the doctors, and so on and so forth, so that there is an infrastructure of protecting, of organizing and protecting people, because it is constitutional rights. The people are not, they are not like, doing stuff which is outside the law and the constitution. But what I can say is these young people, if you don't have a job, if you don't see a future, if you are disempowered, even when you have your education, when you are not without your education, actually, just to conclude, I realized today that when you look at even people who are at the universities, you find that the young people, the boys, are like a third, and 2/3 are girls. And this is something that is kind of in most of these higher learning institutions, meaning that these boys who, dropped, who, felt that even when you have this education, you are not going to get anywhere. So it is no wonder a lot of them now are coming into the streets everywhere in the country, because they have realized that they have very little to lose, and they have been pushed to almost nothingness. And so that is why even like the mothers, when the mothers at Kenya Human Rights Commission were saying it is necessary to, to have a dialogue, and even for the youth themselves to have their dialogue, and then say that this is our dialogue, these are our points, this is what we want from Kenya, and Kenya can't continue thinking that we are not present and we are not citizens. So I don't know, maybe I've said a few things that can be of assistance, but what I know is the system must realize that there is no way of stopping these young people. They are going to have a different Kenya from the Kenya of the past. And indeed, to encourage middle class, who are also hurting very much, to encourage professionals, to encourage everybody, so that we do a harambe for the Kenya that Okiya was saying is a Kenya of mass prosperity. I yield.
Thank you so much, Professor. I think the idea, the vision, the dream of a Kenya of prosperity is one that I think a lot of people may be tempted to give up on, especially during such trying times. And on that note, I want to hand over to Wanjira Wanjiru, who is now my co-host, to make some remarks, and she also has reflections on her own experience on this for many, many years. She's one of the veterans of organizing on the streets. And so she may have some thoughts that she would like to share with those who are here, maybe those who've never been to protest before, and those who are planning to go tomorrow. But in addition to that, Wanjira, I would like you to also reflect on the position we find ourselves in as Kenya today, where there is mass disillusionment to the point where even where the imperial international bodies are recognizing the challenging position that Kenya finds itself in, with a leadership that is hell-bent on breaking the country so that it can split open its coffers and take whatever it wants for itself. And they have shown very clearly they have no regard for human life. They have no regard for the sanctity of the constitution or for the rule of law. They have no regard even for the morality and ethics that binds us together as human beings. And for that reason, we find ourselves in a position of there is actually quite a crisis, in fact. And you may have some reflections on this as someone who has been organizing amongst the masses for quite a while, and on the way and what we should be thinking about as we go into tomorrow and as we go into this period of political history. Come in, Wanjira.
Well, thank you very much, Mamka. Greetings to everybody on the space tonight. This is actually a really good space. I'm really enjoying the reflections that every single person is coming in on them. Now, my input would be, we are at a very critical point as a country in that we are forced to decide. Are we going to let this man destroy this nation? This man who was given power by fellow Kenyans, was donated to our power by fellow Kenyans to implement the Constitution of Kenya 2010. If we remember the the time he was doing campaigns, he was saying this is a government of the poor people. This is a government of bottom up. And a lot of our people were gullible and actually did vote in this government. It has been a government that has killed us, that has stolen from us, that has disrespected the constitution, that has zero regard for human life. We are at a point where we are asking ourselves, is this really how we want to go? And we have the constitution. It was not given to us by Ruto. It was the people of Kenya who gave themselves this constitution that gave them all sovereign power. This is why they have to come and ask, can you please donate some of your power so I could lead you to prosperity, to respecting human life, to respecting the rule of law. So everybody needs to come out tomorrow knowing that this is my patriotic responsibility in protecting the Constitution of Kenya 2010, in protecting the fellow Kenyans, because if not so many people turn up tomorrow, the goons might be too much for other people. So we need to come out in protection of each other. Previously, we have been able to deal with goons because of the numbers that we have had. So it is very important that we come together and tell Ruto that you're going to respect this country, you're going to respect the constitution, you're going to respect human life, you're going to respect Kenyans. Otherwise, we are going to force you to go, because this is our nation. Nobody is going to defend Kenya if not the people of Kenya. Nobody is going to defend the constitution if not the constitution of Kenya. And these people are actually a minority. They are given power, donated power by the majority, who are us. So we cannot sit back, criticize them online, tweet about them online, but when it actually matters, we don't show up on the streets. We must be able to fight the fear that we are fighting. I remember Ngugi has written in his book that great fear breeds misery in the land. If given a chance, this man is going to breed so much misery in this country that we will forget what Kenya looked like. I cannot believe that today mothers of victims were disrupted by goons when they're doing their presser at the Kenya Human Rights Commission today. This is not something we want to see. We cannot allow a repeat of a dictatorship of Moi that happened. We cannot allow a disregard for the constitution, because then Moi had all the sovereign power. Right now, it is the people that have all the sovereign power. There is a clear difference that that seems to be lost on the current crop of leadership, on the current crop of the executive, and even the judiciary. I think we, the people, need to assert our sovereignty in a way that can never be questioned, in a way that we are forcing that they implement the constitution. And we need to mean business this time. We need to be very serious, because we cannot continue losing life. We cannot continue facing abductions. My own family is now faced with threats. Policemen went to my mother's house. They're charging her of ridiculous things. My brother was hit by a panga. They're now coming at even people who are our safe places. They're coming at people who are dear to us to try and stop us from fighting for a better country, to try and stop us from telling them the truth, that they are destroying our country. And we will not be intimidated. We are not going to stop. We will not stop defending the constitution, the rule of law, the sovereignty of the Kenyan people, and the sanctity that is our country. A lot of people have gone through this path. A lot of people have fought. This morning I was reading about Elijah Musinde, who fought all his life, not only the colonial government, but also the neo-colonial government of Moi. He spent 12 years in prison, fighting against cultural imperialism, against foreign domination of our country. Today, Banaruto cannot be dominating us, cannot be killing us, cannot be stealing from us, cannot be disregarding and disrespecting us, and we just call him out on social media. I think tomorrow, it needs to be a day that we are asserting our sovereignty, that we are reclaiming our soul, as Senator Omtatah had said. And we need to figure out a way that we bring all of us progressive forces together. I agree with you, Professor Kivutha, that we need to organize and consolidate, because these other retrogressive forces, they are also organizing and consolidating. And unless we are organized, we are not going to be able to uproot this system that has been organizing for decades to keep us oppressed, subjugated, exploited. We need to be able to come together in a way that is long-term, in a way that's systemic, in a way that actually births a new republic. We are tired. We are tired. Before we started doing the Sabasabas in 2018, of course, following from the Young Turks in 1990, it was because of the oppression that we were living through. These extrajudicial killings that we see today, that Boniface Mwangi would be shot on the street selling masks, were lived realities to us 10 years ago. A young man would be walking, they are shot dead. And because they live in the ghetto, it is okay. They will be framed as a thief, and that's it. We are tired of the extrajudicial killings that have been happening. We are tired of the police brutality. We are tired of the normalized poverty. We are tired of the lack of basic amenities our people are forced to endure in this land of plenty. We want to be able to live a different reality and recognize that only we, the people, can bring about that reality for ourselves. So I'm encouraging us to come out tomorrow. I will be there on the streets myself. I'll be at Fixing the Nation in the morning. And immediately after that show, I'm going to the street because it is Sabasaba. It is a day to reclaim our country, reclaim our power, and hopefully a process that has begun for us to birth a new republic. I jailed. Thank you so much, Mamka. And let us lose our fear, guys. This is our country. Kenya is home. Mamka.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Wanjea. That was so inspiring and exciting, actually, to think that the task ahead of us is one that we are very capable of accomplishing. So there are a few people online who have been speakers who have been waiting for a while, and I would like to thank you for your patience. Let's start with you, economist Muraya Gishuhi, if you're here. And in the meantime, if any of you are there and you're ready with your comments, just raise your hand so I know who is prepared to speak. But economist Muraya, if you're there.
Seems like Jahom is ready to speak. Jahom Abde.
Go for it.
Thank you so much, the handler of Busia Senate. I think Okiya Omtatah, who is the host. Wanjira, I've seen you there. I've heard you speak very passionately. I can see Kivuva Kibwana, the former governor, there, and other speakers, other listeners who are listening to us this evening. Good evening. I hope you're all right. I hope you are charged. I hope you're ready for the long day tomorrow. It's another day that we are here. We don't like to go to the streets, but we are here. We have to do it because it's what it is. It's very unfortunate that we have to do it. It's very unfortunate that it's the language the government understands. The government of the day has decided that this is the language they understand. This is the book we have to read, and this is the exam that we have to sit for. And it's what it is. We have to, if it's what is needed to change the shape of the country, to change the dynamics and the systems of our nation, then we have to do it. It's a time that we have to rise up, you know. And I heard today, I was very sad. I heard the CS again saying that police, everyone should be peaceful. Those are the most. For sure, we are always peaceful. We are always peaceful. It has been all and every day in this country that every time people come out to express their issues, come out to exercise their democratic rights, it's the political class who must find a way to infiltrate the protests. The protesters are always very peaceful. It's the political class. Today, you also, what happened at the NHCR press briefing? Goons were armed, and I normally come to the spaces to give an intelligence briefs, and I can tell you today, goons are being arranged. But it's what it is. This is what we have faced in this CBD every day. Goons are being arranged because the feeling of the national intelligence, the security apparatus, they are imagining that someone is paying us, someone is using us to go to the streets. I can confirm that I have never received even a shilling. I have never received even a penny. I am doing it for, if you ask 99% of us, For me, it's out of our passion for this country. We've seen systems work elsewhere. We
But
want
John, just
systems to
allow
work
me
in
to
Kenya.
barge in, just to set the record straight, my fellow from Homa Bay. The crop of Kenyans who are agitating for good governance and accountability, in fact, are willing to pay. Wanangoja tu waonyeshwe ni wapi watalipa ili
Exactly.
wapate chenye wanataka.
Exactly. So it's just this clique of politicians. They must always find a way to create a narrative and to think that the narrative is the truth. But then, if you look at the ground, if you look at these people, if you meet these protesters in the CBD, you wonder who will pay this, who will pay that multitude, and it is again tomorrow. Tomorrow, the issue has to be. I want to advise all of us, siri ni numbers. Usiji isolate mahali. Don't isolate yourself. Don't work in isolation, because the trick of these people is tomorrow they're gonna harm the goons with batons, with masks, and every kind of weapon. We come to the streets in peace. We gonna demonstrate peacefully and unharmed. That has been our song. If they want to bring the goons, we will be there. We will be there. We have always been there. And I had the CS saying, "Oh, SABASABA," and the former Prime Minister, Raila Odinga. Now they are giving lectures how we should obey SABASABA. SABASABA is a day that agitated Kenyans who wanted free elections went to the streets on the 7th of July 1990. Heroes of this country, the likes of Kenneth Matiba, Charles Rubia, they were tired of the regime. And they were not tired because of just a single thing, not just that free and fair elections was not just, it was just one of the issues they went on the streets for. It was a collection of many things that we are facing now. The police brutality, like for us, the people of Homa Bay, we have born the biggest brand. They say we are in government, but look at us. Very many people have been killed from Homa Bay. Very many people, not fishermen in police cells, not students. We are on the receiving end. But what do the MP say? We are in government. It is them who are in government. It is not the common people. And for that matter, I want to advise everybody. I want to urge everyone. It is a democratic right. It is sometimes you have to demand for what is rightfully yours, regardless of who and the force that comes your way. You have to demand for it. And in Kenya, I can tell you, we are known to be the center of democracy. We are not going to allow this country to descend into our neighbors, Uganda, Tanzania, and I'm not afraid to mention them, who have allowed their country to go to the dogs. We are not going to allow William Ruto. We are not going to allow Raila Odinga. We are not going to allow these people like Kimani Ichung'wah. I hear he's now called Kimani Machung'wah. We are not going to allow Kimani Machung'wah and his clique of members of parliament take this country, the likes of Farouk Kibet. Look at how much money Mr. Soprano is dishing out. What is mshahara ni pesa ngapi? Hii pesa, if they are honest, if this is not corruption, hii pesa kabla waingie kwa power, why were we not seeing them going to donate these sums of money? Why? All of a sudden, wako kwa power, wanaiba pesa left, right, and center. People are jobless. Corruption is tripled in this government. In fact, I dare say this is the worst government. This is the worst government in the history of Kenya. It's the worst. People like Farouk Kibet is now powerful. And atatoa hiyo pesa wapi? Every time, mimi ni nama, si nama, ni fire, si fire. Hiyo pesa yote anatumia na hizo machopa zote. Where does Farouk Kibet get the money? To an extent that the guy is now building a church. I mean, we can't be so foolish. Man, we can't be so foolish, man. He's building a church. The problem is not building a church. No. You know, he's a very big fool. He takes us for a ride. We have no problem with building a church. Let him go use his money and build churches in Sugoi and everywhere else. We will go to worship. I am a Christian. I have no problem with him building a church. But for heaven's sake, State House is a symbol of national unity. If you're building a church, are you building a mosque? What are you going to tell the Muslims? They will need a mosque. They are also Kenyans. What are you going to tell the other believers? This man is a fool. There is nothing else. This man thinks that this country is narrow-minded. In fact, no wonder he is supporting Sakaja because I haven't doubt if this man got a degree. This man, nikiona huyu jamaa, mimi hata I switch off my television. I hate this man seriously because when you are telling everybody that you are building a church, 1.2 billion, pesa yako mwenye umefanyia kazi 1.2 billion. Uliuza kuku, ukaingia parliament Eldoret North. Sasa kuna 1.2 billion you are using to build a church. Mjinga ni nani? This no wonder he banned people in Kiambaa. This man banned people in Kiambaa. This man killed Meshach Yebei, who was a witness in the ICC case. This man knows what happened to George Saitoti. This man knows what happened together with Moses Kuria. They know what happened to Chris Musando. This man, mtu moja tu hivi tu anatusumbua, mtu moja tu hivi kama mtu tu. We have to come out tomorrow. It is not, my good people, your generation. Mtu kamoja tu, just one person. Umeua watu kama 7. Meshach Yebei is gone because of him. Jacob Juma is gone because of him. Watu karibu 50 alichoma pale kanisa pale Kiambaa. Surely, how much blood does this man want or need to drink? This is the time. Wacha niwaambie majamaa. There is nothing like Raila Odinga is in. Munyako kwa serikali on Raila Odinga. Raila Odinga has got a problem. Alimia kila mtu. Alisalimia Moi, akasalimia Kibaki, akasalimia Uhuru, sahi amesalimia Ruto. Hata bibi kesho nikiwa rais, anataka tena kupeleka hiyo mkono. Look at what this country needs to heal from these old people. We are tired. In the morning, I was watching Mudavadi. He was saying, this country is being led by like Burkina Faso, with the major generals. It's not good. For heaven's sake, what value is office of the Prime Minister adding value to us as Kenyans? Ukipea Mbadi waziri wa finance, how is it helping me pale on the constituency? In any idea aje? I don't mind if Mbadi is the prime. I don't mind who is the CS. I just want fair distribution of resources. Even if Ruto will pick all the CSS kutoka Ukamba, Sugoi, I have no problem. It is not. It is the systems are meant not to work by these few people. Look at when Moses Wetangula, the National Assembly Speaker, he's supposed to be neutral, arbitrary. He's the one now campaigning. Let Marende set the bar so high. And then they are saying this is not about Gen Z. Me, I'm not Gen Z. I am a bit older. I'm not Gen Z. This is not about Gen Z. This is Gen Zote. No one is happy with this government. The only person who is happy with this government is William Ruto himself and Kimani Machungwa. Those two people are the only people who are nobody. Usidanganywe ati hapa ati Wanjiru ati usifikirie ati huku Rift Valley hakuna. I speak to everyone. I have friends in Rift Valley. Hakuna. Usidanganywe ati zira ila kwa serikali kesho. Let us get these people. Our goons will come. Let us also goon them. Tomorrow, if they bring goons, we also goon them. That's what I can say. But I'm very mad. Nikki Maliza, I'm very mad about these people. I'm tired of this government. I can't breathe.
We hear you. And I think the theme of rage, righteous rage, is what we have had in pretty much every comment we've had, every remark that we have had today. It is what you read when you go online. It is what you hear when you're talking to your friends. Rage. The country is in deep righteous rage. And I think it is good for us to give some of that rage a platform here today. And thank you so much for those remarks. Let us move on to Culture Kenya Media. I don't know if you're on, and if you are not, or whether you're on, you can be followed by Farah Omar Abdi.
Okay, yeah, I'm on. And I was there for the last protest in June of last year. Shortly thereafter, I went outside the country. And ile kitu tulikuwa nataka kusema is how much I'm so angry when Ruto is out here telling people the solution is shipping people outside the country. The country is anti-immigrant. Everywhere you go, nobody wants to see foreign people in their country. Okay, and instead of when Ruto travels to come here to tell us, come back home, build our country, because the best Kenyan doctors, that means I meet Waindi doctors from Kenya, the best lawyers, a lot of people are here. And instead of him telling people, come build your country, he's trying to ship people. And I've always told people, whenever you're trying to travel, especially to these Arab countries, please know your history, because the Arabs, it's not the Wazungus who enslaved East Africans. The Arabs are the ones who enslaved us. And most of them, even the reason why you don't see a lot of Africans in those Middle Eastern countries who have grown there is then when they were being enslaved, they were castrated. So I'm so angry at that, because we have everything that we need in our country, but you see people trying to be shipped out. It's almost like a slavery. And I've seen when Ruto carries his delegation in foreign countries, these ambassadors and these governors and the presidents of different countries who are Wazungus, the first thing they tell our president and these idiots is, you have a lot of resource. And they ask what resource? They say, oh, are the young people are your resource? And so instead of Ruto coming back and thinking how he can improve that resource, he's thinking, oh, the resource, I'm going to ship it so I can get money. And then they are shipping it and starting employment agencies themselves. And when you're shipping these Kenyans out here, they are being, they're not being treated properly. So ile kitu nilikuwa nataka tu kusema, nasikia uchungu sana, because when you meet these people, when you travel, unaambiwa, hey, why you not in your country? Why you not fighting for your country? Why don't you go back to your country? Imagine, you know how bad you feel, and you're trying to stand up for Kenya, say our country is good. Well, why are they stealing everything? Yeah, somebody with a $20 million a watch and red bottom shoes, alafu watu wako kwa in classes. I feel there's so much anger, and this is what I'm saying, and I'm glad Omtatah is here, that I can count myself as a diaspora, although I don't stay so long in the diaspora. I'm always in Kenya and back and forth. Is that it is projected by the year 2028, the diaspora will be sending equivalent to 1 trillion shillings in Kenya. And part of that money, because a lot of people are raising money, is money also that we can contribute to once we find a candidate that we can help push and contribute money towards that candidate. And also towards anything that happens during these demonstrations. As far as the people who are injured, I've always contributed. So we need to push more for that, so that we are more organized. And also, I want to talk to the men who are going to demonstrations. Please look out for our women. Please protect them. Really, 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 really protect them, because I had some incidents that happened last time. Women are really needed in this revolution, and I like how eloquent and good and how they put across their point. So tafadhali, ukiona wasichana wako 3-4 together, I'm like, hey guys, join us. Join us. Let's all be together. And if you're a man, please protect protect our women. That's all I wanted to say. But I'm so angry at this administration and what they've done to our country. And guys, the last point is I see us almost making the same mistake about people who we are talking that we are going to vote for. Please, the only people I honestly put my foot forward is Omtatah and maybe the former, was he a chief justice or something? I don't know. Yeah, and those are the only people. Otherwise, we need to purge the system so that we can have a new crop of leaders. Remember, Egypt had to go to the streets twice. So thank you for the opportunity. I my points can't come across because of how angry I am. The solution is not foreign countries. The best bet, the best country, and I've traveled to a lot of countries. The best country to be in is your own country, where you're seeing your own people who look like you, who speak your language. It's not going to foreign countries where it's cold, people don't speak your language, and they tell you, "What's wrong? Why don't you go back to your country?" It's very hurtful when somebody tells you like that. So let's build our country, and thank you so much for the opportunity.
Great. Thank you so very much for your remarks. And on the point of exporting labor, a certain amount of madness, the podcast that I host, has an episode we released about 2 or 3 months ago that tackles the question of why it is Kenyan and other African leaders find a solution in the unemployment crisis in shipping out our young people in what looks very much like a repeat of the slave trade, except that this time it is state-sponsored. It is a lack of imagination. It is a lack of creativity. It is one of the fruits of living under imperialism, where capital outflows, or rather material outflows from Africa, are also followed by the outflow of human bodies. We are renting them out there and we are getting remittances, but we cannot be renting out young Kenyans who we could put to work in our country to build this nation. And for that reason, it would be good for Senator Omtatah to speak once again on his plan to build the productive sector, should he be able to take the highest office of the land. But before we come to that, let's give a chance to some of the other speakers who are online. We have Farah Omar Abdi, and then we'll be followed by Sam. I hope you're both online.
Yes, I am. Am I audible?
Yes, you are. We can hear you. Go on.
Thank you, Mamka. I think we need to, before even reclaiming the promise of SABASABA, I think we first of all need to reclaim our nationality, what it means to be a Kenyan, basically what it is to be a Kenyan. Ni nini dhamana ya kuwa Mkenya? Because a lot of us have decided to live in this country and in these lands as though we are on transit. You do not care what's happening every day. Is as though you're waiting to go somewhere else ambayo ndo kwako, ndo kwenu. You cannot, one thing we have to agree upon and come on a consensus is you cannot delegate your duties to these lands, nor can you delegate your patriotism. Those are things that are impossible. They are your responsibilities. It is basically one thing that we have to all agree upon is what kind of a country do we want to have in case you're not successful, in case you're not materially and financially okay? What kind of a country would you want your children to inherit? Where one, that they have equal chances in healthcare, education, and all these things that would give them a chance to succeed, or a country whereby the social contract in itself lacks, where the basics of justice and rights are not based on a social contract that hold the people together, but are based on names and people, the Railas, the Rutos, the Gashaguas. So the most important thing I would really want us to think about is, what does it mean to be a Kenyan? Because ukiamua, you're either, because a lot of people are just dividing themselves along the lines of politicians. You're either one term, ama two term, ama we ni Gen Z, but in reality, ni kama tunajieka kama mifugo, whereby either mimi ni ng'ombe ya Raila, ama mimi ni kondoo ya Gashagwa, ama mimi ni, do you understand what I'm saying? Because we were not meant to be herded, nor were we born to be herded as animals. We were born with the ability to think and come up with solutions. But we have delegated our minds when it comes to national issues to those who we affiliate ourselves to, either our tribesmen or the best conman, the one who steals according to the way you would have stolen. So the reality of the matter and the issue we have at hand is not about having a protest or whatever. It's honestly, we need to restore our social contract amongst ourselves, whereby if it is me against Ruto in a court of justice, I am sure that if right is with me, I will get justice. If right is with him, he will get justice, regardless of the positions he holds in power. Kitu nyingine, and I will say this in Swahili, ndo tuelewane. You see, kutoka kuanzia Ruto hapo juu, uteremke na hiyo wafanyakazi wote mpaka kwa MCA, your local MCA, all of them, they might walk around with cars and everything, but they are the most, hawa ni watu hawawezi wakajiandika kazi. They literally come begging for jobs for you to employ them. We should this, when electing a leader, you should do an interview based kama vile unaandika mfanyikazi, because ni wafanyikazi. That's the truth of it. But once you turn your employee into a demigod and you start worshiping your employee, then wewe ndo mwenda wazimu, and there is no other way to define you. You're a mad person. So in reality, let us stop. Tunaweza kukua as philosophical as we want to be, but what does Kenya mean to us? What does it mean to be a Kenyan? These are the questions we're supposed to, what can we do to restore our social contract? Give people hope. Come up with a plan to ensure that in the next 20, 30 years, we have a physical and economical plan that even if I die, it's something bigger than me. It's a collective. And one thing we must also all every maandamano tunaimbaga ngoma ya Eric Wainaina, daima mimi Mkenya. Eric Wainaina says, hakika ya bendera ni uthabiti wangu. It is my stance and my uthabiti wangu. It is my stance and my principles that give meaning to that flag, because that flag, without my stance and my beliefs and my everything, it is but a piece of cloth. Na hiyo ni kitu lazima tukubaliane, that it is time we reclaimed being Kenyan and took pride in it, regardless. Na tuache kuangalia Kenya through the lens of your tribe. You do not have to be Somali to be Kenyan, or you have to be Jaluo then Kenyan, or Kikuyu then Kenyan. It can be the other way around. We can all be Kenyan, then we ukue kabila ile unataka kuwa, ile ulizaliwa, because either way you never chose it. But the truth is, for as long as we keep looking at national issues through the lens of your tribes and our tribes, we will forever be, it's basically going round. We will always be back here. So it is time we reclaimed our nationality. Let's go back to being Kenyan. Daima mimi Mkenya, mwananchi mzalendo. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for those remarks, Farah. And I think in your remarks, what you have done is reflect on this question of the imagination of an alternative future for Kenya, which quite a few speakers have done in different ways. There are those who have reflected on it in very material terms. What are the sort of social provisions we would have? What sort of education system would we have? What sort of healthcare system? What sort of employment opportunities? But you're also talking about something else, about the Kenyan identity, about the imagination, about the sort of superstructure on which Kenya is built. And I think this project of reimagining Kenya is one which I do not think we can rely on any of our current politicians to engineer. And this is a conversation that we need to have as Kenyans, even as we fight at this juncture, because we will keep repeating the same battles if we do not have a reimagination of what our country is and what we stand for, and then build the set of systems we need from that place, rather than trying to retrofit our ideas into systems that are already made to oppress us. And on that note, I would like to invite Sam to make some remarks online. Sam, please. And then we will come back to Senator Omtatah to also respond to the speakers who have spoken so far. I see we are also just past 10 p.m. And it's good to see that there's still so much participation online. Sam, are you with us?
Thank you. Am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you. Yeah. First of all, I want to say thank you once again and good evening, everybody. I've been in this space before. And before I proceed, I want to urge all of us that make sure you follow anybody here in the group. That's how we can grow as a community. My account is very new. I had deactivated it earlier because of some reasons. So if you are here, just make sure that you follow somebody, 2 or 3, and that one will be good. For sure, Mamka and the rest of us have been in many spaces today. I began with this one, and I happened to be in one of the spaces where Senator Cheregai was there. And I heard him talking. Okay, so I was in that by a call. I heard Senator saying that has been in many countries where the systems are strong and where the democracy has established itself. And he mentioned a country like USA, UK, Singapore, India. But what came to my mind, I never got a chance to ask him, did he copy anything from those countries? Because he was talking about badge making, he went to the badge making. Did he copy something? Or what he came to Kenya from those countries was just theory? I think to some extent we need something that we call leadership sanity in our country. There is no sanity in our country. They are spending the public resource in the wrong way. And nothing is being done in the favor of the citizens of Kenya. And remember, the objective of any government in any state is the people. Because we, the people, we form the government. Leaders, they are chosen by the people to represent them and work for them. But unfortunately, there is a kind of political and leadership insanity in our country. And it is being orchestrated by the top leaders in top positions in this country. And if they were to change, then the country could be in better position. So the failure starts with the president. Just to give an example, we have talked about the issue of shipping people abroad, what I can term it as a brain drain. And then I was wondering, are we not in position to accommodate our people in terms of employment, in terms of healthcare, in terms of education, in terms of technology, infrastructure, innovation, and creativity? But look, it's a frame that has been there since the beginning of the foundation of Kenyan independence and other African countries. We were meant to believe that we cannot do anything without a favor or help from a foreign country. But look, we can. Only the failure comes from the leaders. Because when you look clearly in those developed countries, we have seen them talking about Singapore. We have seen them talking about Dubai, where a majority of the Kenyans, the politicians, when they steal money, they will go and invest it there. We have seen them talking about Qatar and many other countries. But I ask myself, are these countries built by aliens or are these countries led by NGOs? No. Those are the people who found the resources in their country, took the chance to use the resources available in their country in the right manner. They say to themselves, look, whatever we have found in this country, it is not for my family, it is not for myself, it is not for my friends, it is not for my neighbors, but it is for our citizens. our people, and everybody, regardless of their race, religion, or any political affiliation, must benefit from these resources. And that's why you can see we are advocating for the people to move from Kenya to work in Dubai, to work in Saudi Arabia. And what comes to my mind is, can we do that? Do we have people who can work as maids in Saudi Arabia? You know, so we were fixed from the beginning, and it is about bad leadership. And what we are agitating for as the Gen Zs, it is good leadership. Thank God we have some of the leaders who have merit-oriented cards. We have Okiya, we have Maraga, we have many others who have proven records that they can take this country to the right direction. And that's where we as Gen Zs, we can accommodate them. We can accept them in our platforms to give us the directions ahead, because we need them as we propel to the better future of our nation. Again, just to reflect on some quotes from our president, please, I'm winding up. Mamka, I know we are run out of time. The former president Uhuru Kenyatta said that Kenya was losing like 2 billion in a day, and then he came as a whistleblower in a state where there is EACC and many organs that are responsible in dealing with corruption. But the president himself came out and said, we are losing 2 billion every day. And when you tell somebody 2 billion, they will just assume 2 billion in a country, that's a very little. But now look, 2 billion, when you multiply by 365, that is 1 year, that's a very, we get like 730 billions. And Uhuru took us through the pace of 10 years. So that's about 7.3 trillion. The budget of Kenya requires only 3 trillion and above to fund the economic status. So when you get 7.3 trillion that was stolen, and that number is just an approximate, it must be double or triple. So that amount alone could fund the budget of Kenya for 2.5 years without us paying any tax. And remember, we have like 6 decades. When you multiply that amount of money, which is approximate, by 6 decades, that's about 43 trillion. When you
Hello, Sam, your
define
line is not clear.
for 3.
Sam,
Sorry, your line is not
kama
clear.
Mamka anavyosema ni kwamba husikiki vizuri, tunaomba udrop, manake you're making a very important point. We'll give you an opportunity to land it.
Oh yeah.
So
Yes, I'm back.
just
I'm back, please. Let me conclude.
okay, please land your point. It's
Yeah,
a very important point.
sure. Thank you. I was winding up. Kindly, I was interrupted by a call. I was talking about the amount of money that we are losing, which is approximate. So when you get 43.8 trillion divided by 3 trillion, which is actually the amount of money that we need to fund the budget of Kenya, you get like, I think 15 point something or 18 point something. So the economy of Kenya, it should be ahead by 15 years if that amount of money was used in the right manner. But look, all that amount of money went to very few individuals' pockets. Some was touched in Switzerland. Some was used to build projects in Dubai to employ and develop the people of Dubai, but not in Kenya. Others investing in South Africa and many other parts of the world, but not in Kenya. So we are rooting up in a country where the political systems are failing us. And the reason, as I said before, it is us. We, the citizens, we tend to fail ourselves because we don't elect leaders based on their ethics and the merits. Bora mtu ako na suti, bora mtu ako na pesa, bora mtu anasikika is a leader. So we need to differentiate between a leader and a politician. And we need to understand that most of the politicians, especially in Africa, they are opportunists. These are people who will take advantage of you. They will use you in any manner. And at the end of the day, everything, every credit, everything goes to themselves. So we need to be very careful. There is an election ahead of us. We are required to register as voters. Tusikuwe tu tunabishana huku kwa Twitter, tunaongea huku kwa Twitter na hakuna kitu cha muhimu tunafanya. Twende tu tujiregister as voters. Keep your ID ready. The time will come for you to make a decision to change Kenya. Please, let us not be slaves. Just go, vote for the right person, and Kenya will change. The time is coming, and we believe one day, one time, we will change our country. We will change our country. So for those who are going to the demonstration tomorrow,
Mamka,
Yes.
just allow me to
Yes,
interject
please
for a
go
bit.
on. All right,
Sam,
thanks.
thank you very much. Ojuang from Homa Bay was here and he made his point heard. And I would like him to get back as I make this announcement that in the coming week, we will have the burial of Boniface Mwangi Karaoke, who was shot at point blank range at Imenti House. On the 10th of July 2025, Boni's killers shall take plea at Milimani Law Courts. And we are urging all of you who mean well for this country, all those who would want to see an end to police brutality, to show up, purpose to attend court for moral support. And maybe that way, those involved will not feel like they are walking alone. There will be a candle lighting vigil as per the family's wish that shall be held outside Imenti House on the 9th of July 2025. That is starting at 6:30 p.m. We laid Albert Ojwang to rest, and today he rests in power. The Gen Z spirit has urged that he does not actually rest, but that he continues the job he began until it's done. We have a fellow compatriot who is in a freezer at the KU Teaching and Referral Hospital, waiting to be rested. Kindly, if you can, take a moment to reflect on all those who have been extrajudicially executed, all those who are still missing, all those who tomorrow, God forbid, will be abducted, taken, and be reported as missing. People went to the streets 35 years ago to end these things that we are grappling with today. May it mean something to you, to the point that you actually take action. If you're not able to hit the streets, you know people who can support them. Mamka.
Thank you so much, Mudiora, for those for that statement and for the reflection on the fallen comrades. Before we continue, I do wonder though. Before I was going to hand the mic to Senator to make to respond to any of the points that have been made thus far. However, I think we might take one more from the speakers before we come back to him. There is someone who's been waiting online for a while. Hassan Kula, are you there? Hassan Kula? Okay, if Hassan is not there, I see there's a Hannah Ali. Are you there?
Oh, yes. Hello.
Yes, please go on.
Asante, thank you very much. I wanted to begin with saying jambo, hello to everybody, and also say a special thank you to Okiya Omtatah. Well, last week he kept us very worried. We were on our toes. We were on his pace while we got the news that he got shot in the hand. People around him got shot. And we were very worried. We took a moment of reflection. And to be quite honest, this has to end. For me, my blood boils when I hear people saying, these leaders must go. They're not leaders. They're rent-seeking politicians. So you cannot call them leaders. You cannot put them in a place where Omtatah is. And very few you can count with your hands. Those are the only leaders we have. You can handful. They're not going to be even more than 5. I doubt they can get to 10. And this is fundamentally what we are facing. For me, it has been a generational struggle, and the generation before is where SABASABA began. And I think we are still continuing. Each generation is picking up from the next. Now, where are we heading? What do we want? What kind of Kenya do we want? And what is our aim? What is the struggle for? For me, I think it's not just about changing the person who's sitting on the throne. It's not about changing Ruto. No. For me, it's about changing the whole system. It does not make any difference if we elect people through the same system that is there, then we'll still continue having the same problem. We need to look into changing the system, draining the swamp, getting rid of all those politicians. Because for a long time, I think they've played Houdini and magic show on Kenyans. Ruto was there, and he was actually somebody who was put on the system by Moi after he finished university. And it's not only him. There are many of those kind of politicians who have been implanted and trained within the system until they get to the position that they are supposed to get. Now, why do they do this? They do this because they want a system that continues providing for these rent-seeking politicians even after they're out of the office. So I would urge everybody not just to think about wanting change. We want the president to go. We want so and so to go. This is not about individualistic. We need to actually say enough is enough. We want the whole system changed. We want to choose leaders, but not politicians. We want leaders who are actually leading by action, like the person who has opened this space, who we've been actually on spaces with us, side by side with Kenyans, who has literally done a lot of things, exposed a lot of things, put his life on the line. Okiya Omtatah, I can never say enough and show you my gratitude. And I think many Kenyans are in the same position. Those are the kind of leaders we want. For me, SABASABA holds a lot of things, but what Gen Zs have actually achieved, you've achieved a lot. Do not listen to the side shows that these people are talking. They're trying to make you lose faith. Do not lose faith. You've reached far. Otherwise, those brothers and sisters who have died for this cause, their blood will be gone in vain. So we have to think there will be sacrifices. Though some of us will endure some pain through this revolution, but then it's a revolution that needs. We need a Kenya that provides for the many. We need a system that provides for the many and not the few. I can see there is somebody, one of the Pasaris, talking about we need to bring this bill. People should not go near these places. No, So we are supposed to be concentrating on those kind of things. For me, it's actually diverting people's attention from the real issues, from the real truth, from what actually matters. And all of a sudden, we can see there is news about a church being built in the in the State House. Now, are we supposed to be discussing that? No, it does not matter. They have already shown that they don't have empathy, they don't have sympathy, they're not using the constitution, but only become constitutionality when it matters and when it suits them. That is when they use the constitution. So, but the rest of the time, the constitution does not matter. When they are actually breaching our rights, constitution don't matter. When they're actually robbing us blind, constitution don't matter. But when they want to keep themselves safe, or they want something to actually deliver for them, not the Kenyans, and then all of a sudden, the constitution says this, the constitution says that. So there is no constitutionality that is being practiced by this government at the moment, but it's chaotic. So I would say, go in numbers. Your strength is in numbers. Go in numbers. Be louder than you can be. Be your brother's keeper. Be safe, and God bless. And thank you, Okiya Omtatah, and the two ladies who were the co-host, and all Kenyans. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hannah Ali. I think you have said something that contradicts what the speaker before you said, that has been a recurring theme throughout this conversation and other conversations that happen online. There are those who locate problem of Kenya in they believe that it is this current crop of politicians, it is Ruto himself, it is Uhuru Kenyatta and the predecessors who are just not good people and not good leaders. But you have located the problem elsewhere in the system, that this system is bound to produce leaders exactly like this, a system that incentivizes the use of money in politics is going to give an advantage to those who have money, especially those who have money that they have procured illegally. A system that vests so much power in the president is going to incentivize a president who buys the legislature and the judiciary to override the constitution at will. Now, to speak more on that, I want to bring back my co-host, Wanjira Wanjiru, if you're still with us. Where do you locate the problem, and how do you think Kenyans should be thinking about this ideologically as we go into SABASABA tomorrow? Wanjira, are you with us? Okay, it looks like Wanjira is not with us. So I will pass that question to Senator Omtatah when he is closing in just a few minutes. But
Hi,
before
sorry,
that,
Mamka. Sorry, I just walked in. I'd gone to get a glass of water. I just walked in to asking me a question about ideology. Can you please come again, please?
Let me repeat the question. Various speakers today and have spoken, have located the problem that we're facing as Kenya in two different, in different ways. There are those who locate it in individuals. They say the problem is Ruto, the problem is this crop of politicians, the problem is Oscar Sudi, and these are the band of thieves who are leading the country. And there are those who locate it in the system. There are systems set up such as ours, a system that has been inherited from the colonial era, a system that vests so much power in the presidency, a system that incentivizes the use of money in politics, is a system that is always going to give you leaders who behave the same way. How do you think about this, and what do you think should be the ideological framework that we are working with as we go into SABASABA tomorrow?
I think that's a good question, in that it seeks clarity for us to understand what really our big primary contradictions in the society are. And in all honesty, the primary contradiction right now is that we are still a neo-colonial state. We are still not yet a liberated country, even though we do have our flag independence, even though we did have independence in quote from the British in 1963, the British still hold 60% of the Kenyan economy, and the other 40% is held by the comprado bourgeoisie. So the politics of this country are tied to the hip by the economics of this country. At the end of the day, it is a war to protect their material conditions, these comprado bourgeois. This is why they go for leadership positions, because they have made leadership to be a position to loot as much land they can. They have made it a position to align themselves with the sworn enemies of this country, who are the imperialists, who are the British, who are these foreign nationals who seek to continue exploiting us, to continue taking our land, to continue taking our minerals, to continue subjugating us as a country. So we have to deal with this crop of leadership first, so that we can dismantle this entire system that has been built on lies, that has been built on lying to Kenyans about their history, on lying to Kenyans about the role of imperialism, the role of these international institutions, the role of Pan-Africanism even. So we have to be able to deal with this cabal of leaders, remove them from power so that we can dismantle this whole system and start afresh. We create another system, and I honestly think our ancestors had a really good system of a council of elders, which had collective leadership, which had consensus, which people had to earn to get a seat at that position. And I think neocolonialism really messed our politics, because they made us inherit their system of governance and disregard everything about our African systems and start aping them. So I think it is fundamentally a question about getting off the neocolonial system, which is not a walk in the park, which is why we must band together as the progressive forces of this country, dismantle this current leadership of looters, of greedy people, of murderers, of thieves who are in bed with the imperialists, so that we can then overhaul this entire system. And I agree with Senator when he said, perhaps the liberation of the continent is going to start in Kenya, but we have to make ourselves a republic first. We have to ascertain our sovereignty. We have to be able to tell Batuk to leave our land. No foreign nationals are allowed. We know that they are mining minerals. We know they are raping our women, and there's no repercussions. Agnes Wanjiru, her case was in 2012. The other day, the ambassador of UK to Kenya was talking about, we are doing everything we can to make sure justice is had. We're doing our best. We're in 2025. These guys, at the end of the day, we are going to have to dismantle all of these things that we know to be the functioning international system of the world right now. We have to ascertain that this is our land. This is how we want to govern ourselves. This is how we want to dignify our people. This is how we want to teach our history. This is how we want to teach literature and to raise our people.
Thank
Mamka, I
you
hope
so
I have
much.
answered you.
Yes, you have. Thank
Mamka,
you
would
so
you
much.
give me just 1 minute to actually just chime in? 1 minute, please.
Sure.
Thank you. Actually, I just wanted to a little bit push the Wanjiki, what she said, the co-host, and actually Kenyans, we need to open our eyes, because it's two tier levels. Okay, the first level is about these politicians who actually make sure they put somebody. The voice is coming back to me, Mamka.
Yeah,
I
we can
think
hear you,
you're.
Anna. You do have
No,
a
I hear a echo. I have an echo. I think your speaker was open. I'm not sure. So there's two tiers. Somebody like Ruto, we can see he has been somebody who was actually sort of put there on purpose. He has been mentored to be what he is by previous leaders. So most of these politicians make sure they have somebody in the system who will continue, even when they're long gone out of the system, that it will continue to provide for them. That is one layer. Now, the second layer is where the neocolonialism comes from. And I'm very sad that she said the UK ambassador said gave an empty promise. After that, all this cry, after that documentary was aired, believe you me, if Ruto and his all entourage were not actually working for the West and working for the colonials, they would have got him out of office completely long time ago. Why is he still there? Ask yourself. When a leader like Ibrahim Traore, they have attempted to do everything they can to get him out of the leadership. We have seen this in as Africans in prior histories, where people like Gaddafi were taken out of, where people like Sankara, and so on and so forth. So anybody, Kenyans, when you see that the West is looking away and the people's cry is getting louder, and people out there's documentaries out there showing all these things that are happening, and nobody's lifting a hand, remember, they've got their poster boy there in the office. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hannah, and thank you for the additional comments you've made to buttress what Wanjira was saying. Let me give a chance as we go to the top of the hour. Let me give a chance to those who have not spoken yet. So, Lynn 20, are you on? Lynn 20, followed by Mura Robert. Go on, Lynn.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Actually, my name is Linda. So I want to thank you all for giving me a chance to speak here and for us gathering here at this time of the hour. I have heard all the speakers speak, and being a former student leader, we still have a lot of problems and a lot of buy-ins from the government. And one thing that I can really bring onto the table is that what is affecting us mostly as Kenyans is poverty. Kenyans will take anything to have flour on their table. And it is poverty by design, brought in by the government to be able to control the masses. So I see our senator is here, and I wanted to ask what is his way forward of making sure that we are getting out of the threshold of poverty. Because if we are able to control the poverty levels in our country, we will be able to have the right people in office. Even if we say that right now we want to remove the top presidency and clean the entire house, if we do not tackle poverty, good governance and transparency and accountability, we'll still go back to the same problems, because we have realized that even those good people that we tend to put in office they change, and now they start doing exactly what the other individuals who were there before them were doing. So how do we ensure that these things are not happening? How do we ensure that we are bringing back our country to a nation that is full of integrity, transparency, and accountability? Firstly, before we clean the house from top, we have to clean it from the grassroots, from the MCAs, from the members of parliament. Each and every house has to go. And the leaders that we bring in, we also, as Kenyans, have to see that we have to support them into office. Most of young leaders, I'm also an upcoming leader, I want to get into politics, but we do not have the desired resources to be where we want to be. And if you go into a forum and you want to speak to Kenyans, and that is why I'm saying the biggest enemy is poverty, the first thing they will ask you is, wewe unatuletea nini? If you don't have anything, they will not even stand there to speak to you. So if we can get mechanisms that are not designed by the government to be able to put Kenyans into one threshold, then we will be able to go far. And that is why right now, as we see, they have really raised the taxes in our country, making private sector null and void. So many businesses have closed down. And that is where the youth unemployment is on the rise. And it will not go down, because this is by design. Keep you poor, ensure that you are able to control the masses, and keep moving things to the directions that we want. So as we have these conversations today, let us start looking for strategies. How do we get people out of the hood? How do we ensure that if I am okay, my neighbor is also doing fine? If my neighbor is doing fine, I'm sure their people back at home will also be doing okay. So we need to find strategies. In as much as we are here talking we are pained by the matters that are going on in the government right now. We have to always remember the government is already a system. So us as the people must also find a system to work with. That is the only way we'll be able to get where we want. So even as we speak, we need to find strategies. As we move forward, we need to find ways of ensuring that things are done. And from my point, I have been working on something about tracking individuals. And I found watches that you put on your hand. It keeps your heartbeat going. You put it down or somebody removes it, your heartbeat stops to count. Now, my only thing was, how do I start distributing all these things to individuals? But at the end of the day, there's that accountability that you need to keep this watch till the end of time. This is going to be a very big mass registration that requires very big resources, because I know once you're abducted, the first thing that will happen is that they will tell you to remove that watch. Immediately your watch goes off from your hand, we will know that you are no longer safe. So this is like a traceability gadget that I want to put out here, because this war will not end today. This is just something that we have started and it will keep on going forward. So as we move forward, as we are all here, let us start looking for strategies. Let us start finding solutions that will be able to move us forward as a people, that will be able to help us solve the problems that we already have at hand. And even tomorrow when people go for SABASABA, how will the women get home at the end of the day? Those are the things we also need to start tackling. How will you ensure that the goons do not penetrate and harm civilians who are just there for the right cause? Those are the things that we need to be talking about. Those are the kind of conversations that we need to be holding. We need to start talking accountability and systems. That is all I wanted to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Linda. I think those are very good comments. And I especially take your point on the fact that we have just begun what is likely to be a protracted battle for the soul of this nation. I don't think we have even actually just begun. We are just picking up where our elders left off. I would like to give the opportunity to Republic of Gen Z, followed by Maura Robert. I would like to ask at this point, because we're coming to the top of the hour, to keep your remarks to a short 2 minutes, please, so that we give as many people as possible a chance before we close. So Republic of Gen Z, are you with us?
Okay, can you hear
Yes,
me?
we can hear you.
Okay, I'll just be brief. First of all, thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak my mind. First of all, I shall start with the extrajudicial killing. So we've been having a lot of extrajudicial killing, and you'll find that there have been an alarming rise in cases where bodies are dumped in rivers, forests, where we also have seen where a person like what was known as a karaoke, something like karaoke, was shot and there was no justice. So we find that that is something that we should must all push for transparent investigations and public disclosure of those responsible. Also, I'll talk of the state abductions, whereby they enforce disappearances. So it is a tactic used to instill fear and silence dissent, particularly among activists, students, and opposition supporters. So where are the missing Kenyans? Family deserve answers, and we must demand open protection for whistleblowers. I'll also talk about the health crisis in Kenya, whereby our healthcare system uh, collapsing. So many Kenyans cannot access essential medicine or emergency services. So you'll find that there is corruption and mismanagement, where billions meant for healthcare are lost to corruption, while ordinary Kenyans suffer. So we must demand quality, accessible, and affordable healthcare for all. I'll also talk about education challenges, whereby we have a lot of unfulfilled promises of free and quality educations has remained and largely unachieved, with hidden costs burdening parents. So the government has to adequately address teacher shortages, and also the large class sizes, poor working conditions, and also talk of the university funding cuts, loan repayment pressure are threatening the young or the future of young Kenya. So we must invest in education now or risk. Also, lastly, maybe I'll talk of the leadership accountability. So leaders must serve the people, not themselves. Corruption and poor governance are bleeding the country. And also high cost of living where Kenyans are grappling unbearable taxation, fuel prices, and basic commodity inflation. Then there must be freedom of expression, whereby the shrinking civic space is unacceptable. Then must freely voice their concerns without fear. Then youth people must rise to shape up the nation's future. We are not just the leaders of tomorrow, we are leaders today. And another thing I'd like to remind all the Gen Zs who are here that they're not too young to lead. So let us take votes. Let us go to the ballot and do something that maybe can shape up our country.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for keeping your remarks brief. Maura, Robert, are you with us?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you. And thank you. Yeah, for the opportunity. Yeah. Me, I would just to say something very quick. And those people who are in business, entrepreneurs, those who own companies, if your company is not doing very well, or if you want to buy a company that's not doing very well, what you do, you hire some people you call turnaround experts. They come, they study the company, what is the problem, the sales or the marketing is not doing good, the production does. They compare a report and then they give you this report. Then you implement that report accordingly, and then the company starts making profit or such. It's a very important document. Now, I myself am somebody who has done such kind of report because I see Kenya as a company that has completely collapsed. Hii nchi yetu imekufa kabisa. So I will pick here example like a turnaround expert, and I've seen one of the key things that in my report I can highlight is disrespect of the constitution. Hatuheshimu katiba. We don't respect our constitution. Somebody here has just said that we deal with the issue of poverty. Do you know if we were respecting our constitution, the issue of poverty could have been done away with? Yes, there's poor will always be with us, but at least we could have fully minimized the corruption. The kind of people we are having here in office right now, 90% could not be in office if we are respecting our constitution. And to go back to where it all started in 1963, when our founding father, Babu Ataifa Jomo Kenyatta, when he took over the reins of power from the British, he put a system in place that was engaged in what we call primitive accumulation of wealth. They grabbed land and everything, and it went that way to Moi and that way to Kebaki's halfway, and then we saw that this system is not working right. And why was the system not working right? Because the constitution that was in place was only centered in State House in Nairobi. So we gave ourselves a very beautiful constitution in 2010, but something happened in 2013, and this is where now the problem we are facing, majority of it can be traced from. When we voted in the two ICC suspects, Uhuru and Ruto in place, hapo ndipo mambo iliharibika kabisa, because number one, these people never met the constitutional requirement. Chapter 6 never allowed them to run for office, but the people did what they did, and for those some people, because they are tribal mentality and such, they voted for these people so that they can evade the justice at ICC. And if you look at two things of Uhuru Ruto government, was one, corruption, and number two, total violation of the constitution. So Uhuru and Ruto has entered the history books of Kenya as the people who did the massive corruption since we got independence, and number two, total violation of the constitution. He immediately misused Adan Duale, who was then majority leader. Now, and when anybody who used to question his leadership, maybe the Auditor General and such, all what Uhuru could do was to bring a kind of a role, or try to use the judge to kick this person out. You remember when Auditor General Robert Edward Ouko questioned the 2.5 billion euro board that Uhuru to store. You know, Uhuru wanted to kick him out of in an constitutional matter. I'm glad that Okiya Omtatah is here, is one who saved him by going to court, and that one already remained in office. So the problem we are having as a country today is we don't respect the constitution. If we respect the constitution, every cent could be properly being used. The governors could be doing what they are doing with their money. The government could do what they are supposed to do with their money. Anybody who is caught around this messing with taxpayers' money could be put in jail, and that one will deter others from doing the same. So until we fix the issue of respecting the constitution, nothing is going to work in Kenya. But how do we do that? By putting leaders of integrity and character in office. If we don't do that, if we still go on tribal cocoons and vote people based on our tribe and this, I can guarantee you Kenya is corrupting more and more. And finally, let me say this. I see Omtatah here, and here he go rewarding for the president. I would like him to arrange a space to come here and we try to tell him, or we try to have a discussion on our way forward, what we think the new government should do. Because look here, if in Kenya we get it right in just 2 areas, number one, we minimize corruption completely. We cannot do away with it, but we bring it to very, very low. But we get it right in 2 areas, agriculture and manufacturing. I'm sure more than 90% of the unemployment that is in Kenya can be done away with. Our youth can get job, and everything can be done in a very good and a very proper way. So I would like Okiya, Omtatah, and others, you arrange a space here. There are people, a lot of people with the experience, so we can come and we can say what we would like to say, or what we would like to see it being done, and people are there to support you. If you can do, you can go there, and we have a new Kenya. But until and unless we have people of integrity occupying state house, occupying cabinet position and such, I can guarantee you Kenya is going to continue sinking deep. The reason as to why we have a lot of taxes now, somebody has said, is because
unfortunately we're coming up to the top of the hour, so I'm going to have to.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Let me stop there.
You made some really good points. Just because we have them on Bon-I and Bon-Cam, I'll give you each just 30 seconds. If you are on, are you on Bon-I?
Yeah. Thank you so much. I've been really waiting here. I'm burning, and
Go for it.
I don't really understand why you people are speaking of one thing and the same thing every time, every now and then. Sabasaba, it is a daily thing. Sabasaba is not only tomorrow. Sabasaba is a daily thing until we accomplish what we want. What we want a good nation. We want a nation that follows the constitution. Why is it that you people, you still think that we have to go to 2027? What do you think? Raila had Uhuru, but Ruto stole that election. What do you think will change in 2027? You people, you are sleeping. Every day we should fight and fight to know what we want. We need everyone here, whether you have 2 followers or 3 followers or 5 followers, let us see on your timeline every morning when you wake up. We want to see the name of Okiya, Omtatah, and Justice Maraga. Those are the people that we want them to change the nation. Then after that, why are we concentrating with these types from the people in government and the fake media houses? They are telling us about the church. What are you going to do about the church? We asked Ruto June 2024 to sack all these CSS, but this guy doesn't hear. He is not advised by anyone. What do you think that you are going to tell him to stop building that church? Let's not even concentrate on that church, because we are not even interested with Ruto. We are not interested with this group of leaders. It is only that we stop concentrating with that nonsense and we build what we want to build. Look at this. I want to challenge all of us. Gachagua started his journey. Now Gachagua is the talk of the town. Why are we giving such people now? Gachagua is on the old order. These are the people who are brought up by Moi regime, and we know them. And I'm very sad that Kibaki did us dirty. Kibaki refused to jail Moi. Kibaki refused to reclaim what Moi had stolen. And we want to start by that. Okiya, Omtatah, and Maraga. We don't want you to talk about anything. On your timeline, we want you to post every day. Musiume na kupuliza, hakuna kubembelezana. These people are not following the constitution. mtu ambaye follow constitution. It's just like a boxer who gets into the ring. The other boxer mmepewa masharti, mmeambiwa no kicking under the belt, but the other person is boxing you under the belt. Wewe utafanya nini? So utaanza kumuuma. So now hakuna haja kufollow hii constitution ambaye the people who are up there, they are not following that particular constitution. Let's tuchafue TL ndio wale watu wako, kwa sababu one thing you people don't understand is hata Maraga na Okiya Omtatah wakuwe pale kama president, and we still have this dirty thing that is happening ambayo mmeona Ruto amefanya, amenunua all these MPs. Sasa kama hii bill yenye Parsaris huyu prostitute bimbo huyu anakuja kuleta hapa, it will pass na tutaendelea tu kupiga hapa kelele because food soldiers lazima tupee Okiya Omtatah food soldiers. Sorry, najua natumia
yes,
sorry, najua natumia lugha mbaya. Natumia lugha mbaya, lakini that is the Kenya we want. Wacheni niwaambie, don't tusikae kama Maslay Queen. You see how Gachagua is fighting Ruto. That is the language we need to fight. But because we don't want to taint Okiya Omtatah and Maraga. Just a minute, please. Mmeongea mambo mingi sana hapa. Mmeongea mambo ya ofisi. We the youth ndio tunaumia. We the youth, wengine wenyu mko majuu, mko makazi, mko na nini. You don't know the struggle that we are passing in. Tuna pass under a very hard struggle. Watu wanajinyonga, watu very young. Look at Boniface. Boniface alikuwa ofisi, akienda kupigwa risasi, alikuwa ofisi kama nyinyi vile mko maofisi. You know, sometimes we people lazima tuangalie vile vitu tunaongelea. And these people, the dirty game they have been using, mka hapo na ofisi yenu, hakuna kitu tutakomboa nchi, na hakuna siku tutakomboa nchi. Kila siku ni sabasaba. Kibaki wakati aliingia kiti, watu walikuwa na walikuwa wanachukua hongo. Hakuna gari ilikuwa inabeba excess because of the people. Mkikaa hapo kwa ofisi, who will do that? It is a Sabasaba day. Wacha tusichafue jina Okiya Omtatah na Maraga. Wacha wao wakae pale watuambie what they want to do with the country, kama they will jail Ruto, Uhuru and reclaim what Moi had. Huyu Gideon Moi bado hizo akina standard akina nini. Hizo ni pesa za Wakenya. Na ndio pesa tunataka zi revive economy ya Kenya. Hakuna mahali tutatoa pesa ingine. Tutaendelea na hii madeni ambayo hatuna. Please, let me land.
Yes.
Mmepea watu hapa madakika mingi sana. So respect the voice of the people. We are the people and we shall. Tunaenda maandamano, tunauana, wakina Raila wanapata viti. Respect the voice of the people. Na tuache upuzi. Lazima tuende na hao watu. Shit.
Bonkam, are you with us? Bonkam, are you with us? Okay, if you're not with us, I think that is a very fiery closing for what has been a really exciting session. And I would like to hand the mic back to Midhiora and to Senator Omtatah. Close for us.
Thank you very much, Mamka Anyona, for being an amazing host. Thank you, everyone that tuned in tonight for this conversation. Indeed, we have explored if it's possible for us to reclaim the promise of SABASABA, that is, get back people's power, justice, and reimagine a new Kenya. And I'm really honored that we were respectful in our deliberations. We started on a high, have ended on a high. Thank you, Bonai, for that very impactful submission that you have made. Now, I did announce that we have a national event happening next week. That is on the 11th, when we'll be laying to rest Boniface Mwangi Karaoke. This is a gentleman whom many had called as dead before he actually died because of the gruesome nature of the shooting that injured him, that has ended up taking his life. But then on that fateful day, Senator Okiya Omtatah went to the Kenyatta National Hospital to investigate why this narrative that Boniface was dead was being peddled. They say that in Kenya, For a case not to have the weight to withstand trial, a victim needs to be dead. So we imagined maybe that narrative was being sold so we can quickly forget and move on about that very gruesome shooting. Now we've walked the journey, and on the 11th of July 2025, Boniface will be laid to rest. But before then, there will be a hearing on Thursday at the Milimani Law Court where Boniface Mwangi's killers will be taking plea. We all know what they did. We have video evidence, we have eyewitnesses, we have statements that have been recorded. IPOA apparently is in action on this, but then eternal vigilance is something that Kenyans must maintain throughout for us to keep this republic. Kesho ni siku ya maandamano na wengi wenu mtahusika kwa njia moja ama nyingine, iwe kwamba utakuwa kwenye streets ama utakuwa kazini. Be sure that tomorrow the spirit of those who paid the ultimate price to liberate Kenya will be with you. Either itakuwa inakuunga mkono ama itakuwa inakusukuma kuchukua hatua. We've seen deployment of police across the country. We've heard that the military has been put on standby. Remember, Kenyans generally are unarmed, and when they come out to protest, they do so peacefully. So we don't understand why this kind of mobilization has been done. But your guess is as good as mine that the repression that this government wants to make official in Kenya will be going a notch higher tomorrow. Kwa hiyo kuwa makini, tembea na wengine, linda mwenzako, linda mali ya Mkenya mwenzio, manake ni jasho, ni damu, ni machozi. Hakikisha kwamba if you're able to document the going ons of the day, you do so. This will help in filing whatever cases we may need to file in future, should there be any police excesses. We've seen the state unleash goons on peaceful protesters. We can't give them the benefit of the doubt that they will not do this tomorrow. So come out prepared. It's a gunfight, but we are not violent people, so we are not going to go out there with guns, but we must go out there prepared. Beba maji kama kawaida, beba bendera. Zaidi ya hiyo, beba kamera au simu. Let us defend the soul of our nation. Wanatuua kwa kuwa tumekataa kununuliwa kama kuku mnadani, na hatutaanguka bei mpaka pale ambapo watatimiza ahadi ambazo walitupa wakati walikuwa wanatafuta hii mandate ambayo tuliwapa. Wanatuua kwa kuwa tumekataa kuwa kimya wakati tunaona hizi excesses ambazo zinatokea na polisi, na watazidi kutuua, manake njia pekee ya wao kuzuia kwenda jela kutokana na maovu ambayo wamefanya ni wao kubaki katika hatamu za uongozi, na hilo Wakenya kwa pamoja wamekataa. Kesho tujitokeze, na waomba wote piganie taifa letu la Kenya lipewe heshima kama inavyofaa. Senator Okiya Omtatah, nguvu za taifa, mtetezi wa wanyonge, sauti yetu sote, yuko tayari kutufungia mkutano wa leo. Thanks for your time. It has been real. It has been true. But again, let us all endeavor to make Kenya great. Senator Okiya Omtatah, the mic is yours.
I thank you everybody who has been on this space. I think there have been about how many people? Over 13,000 people have attended the space, and that should underscore that underscores the importance with which we Kenyans attach to the idea that we need a functioning country. Somebody said here that Western countries are kicking us out. Even now, even neighboring countries within East Africa treat Kenyans as if we are pests. So the only home we have as Kenyans really is this country, and we need to really work on it and make sure that it succeeds. At its very basic definition, constitutionalism is basically the principle that the authority of government derives from and is limited by a body of fundamental law. So somebody has rightfully said here that our solutions, I think it was Robert Mom, our solutions are in the Constitution. If we are to implement the Constitution, we'll get out of the mess we are in. And our mess can be quantified in terms of the poverty in which our people live. In September 2022, I was in Texas, Austin, and I met the officials of of the state of Texas. And the secretary of the state asked me, how do you people survive on a per capita income of $1,900, about 240,000 shillings, which comes about to 20,000 shillings per month, 240,000 a year. How do you survive on that kind of money? And so my challenge, and I've liked the question, how do we make Kenyans rich? And as a Catholic, if you may excuse me, I'd go back to the words of the encyclical written by Pope Paul in 1967. He said that the new name of peace is development. If you develop people, you are creating peace in the world. So Kenya needs to develop like yesterday. The poverty we have cannot continue. We must work towards realizing a per capita income of about 30,000 USD within the next 10 years. We must work towards that and consciously work towards that and say, what do we need to do? We must turn out in terms of our per capita GDP income. And such an economy will achieve food sovereignty, will provide quality and access for taxpayer-funded basic education, will provide universal health care that we had before. When I was growing up as a kid, we had universal health care. You could walk in any hospital and be treated. The medicine were branded, what have you. We will have proper and functioning public transport. We cannot afford to run our country, and especially our cities like Nairobi, on a chaotic public transport that is not predictable. We must begin by fully implementing the Constitution and upholding the rule of law, that everybody is subject to the law. Nobody is above the law. Our government is a creature of the law, and everybody must uphold the law. We must implement the Constitution. We must restore key checks and balances within the political economy. For example, just hiving the treasury away from the hands of the president and setting up an independent organ like the central bank of the nation, run by the national treasurer, by professionals. And the only way money that has gone into that treasury can be taken out is through a budget approved by parliament and a signature of the control of budget. That way, if the president is broke, he wants anything, let him wait for his salary. Otherwise, right now the treasury is like the president's kitty, the president's private kitty. He can do whatever he wants with it. It's disposable income. So that kind of interventions whereby we institute fiscal discipline to fix our shaky finances and structures, public finances and structures, will automatically eliminate corruption and wastage. And we go back and we get rid of using these words like corruption and whatever, just go call it theft by servant. There's already an elaborate structure in the penal code for dealing by theft by servant. Take this thing back to the OCS. Those who steal will be taken up by the police and dealt with. We are not going to entertain this thing of anti-corruption whereby bishops, retired bishops, are the ones supposed to be fighting crime. Let the OCS fight and let us hold the police accountable for those people who steal from our coffers. They are servants and they are stealing. So, and we must modernize the economy. To fight, we must modernize the economy. We must get banks that can grow this economy, not these Shylock enterprises that simply wring the last drop out of every anybody who tries to borrow a loan. We must get away from these strange and terrible interest rates. So, in this constitution, we must place specific focus on certain aspects of the constitution. The sovereignty of the people, we must focus on chapter 1 and realize its promise. And chapter 2, the premise of the constitution, we must look upon it. The character of the Republic of Kenya. In national values, we must look at the things in chapter 2 and deal with them accordingly. We must enforce the Bill of Rights in chapter 4. We must uphold the principles of leadership and integrity. Yes, you have seen people play around with the words in the Constitution. When you go to Article 99, you find that they say that 99 clause 3, I think, they say that eligibility for one to run for to be as an MP, which you also decides eligibility for one to be a president. They put things and they say one shall not be is not disqualified if he has appealed. So you can murder somebody, you can be convicted of theft, but as long as you appeal, you are eligible. But there's a salvation in Article 73, 1, which says you have to be suitable for an office. Eligibility is not everything. There's also suitability. We must breathe the life into the requirement for people to be suitable for office. People can bring honor and pride to an office. People who can instill confidence in that office. So we'll have to do that by enforcing chapter 6 on integrity. We have questions of chapter 7 on elections. How is power acquired and how is power retained and how does power change hands in Kenya? So we must institute the tamper-proof elections. And those tamper-proof elections are clearly defined in chapter 7 of the Constitution. Our governments have refused to give us these elections. So we must do that. Then going ahead, we have got chapter 11 on devolution. We must get devolution to work. We must rein in rogue governance. The money devolved must go to the people. It must not just end up in the pockets of people of the executive and the legislature at the county level. So we must work on find that our constitution has answered all the questions we have about fixing our governance, fixing our economy, restoring respect to this country, and getting the way forward. The other question that we were asked, the other thing we need to do, we must create a sovereign wealth fund. We must create a sovereign wealth fund so that we take care of the future generations. And that wealth fund, from what is wasted, you saw somebody talk about 2 billion being stolen every day. If that money was to go into a sovereign wealth fund, we'd get close to 800 billion shillings every year. This is money that can accumulate within a short time and other resources from the mining and what have you. We can end up with a very strong sovereign wealth fund that we can now become net lenders in the international money economy. We must avoid relying on the IMF and the World Bank, which are institutions that were created by a world order that survived on colonialism and oppression, and they were designed to sustain that world order. We cannot rely on them to be our saving grace. They cannot be. So we must find ways to avoid dealing with them or to avoid relying on them. There's the question of public debt. We must go back and look If they did and we've benefited, we shall pay. If they did not and we did not benefit, we have to find a way out. And that way out, we have got history. Remember the Americans did when they threw out the Cuban, the Spaniards from recently what happened with the tuna scandal in Mozambique, and how that Eurobond was handled because it was procured through corruption. Kenya must get to the same level and say, okay, this is the law of Kenya. This is what was borrowed. How was it borrowed? How was it used? Does it place liability on the shoulders of the Kenyan? It states that public officer, holders of public office, be they civil servants or politicians, are liable for any losses incurred under their watch that were incurred under their watch contrary to the law. So we have already have the law in our place. We have Article 40, Clause 6 that says the rights to property do not extend to illegally or fraudulently acquired property. We have the infrastructure there. We have the hardware. So we need the software. We need the political will. We need people with determination, people of conviction to move. And these are the same clauses of the Constitution that you have had. You have taken this case to the case to Onodia's death to court, where we are demanding about 7 trillion shillings from Mr. Uhuru Kenyatta and his coterie of fellows, and 2.3 trillion from Ruto and his group. And that is as at 30th of November 2024. So we have to do that. We have to look each other in the eye and say we are not going to go into the debt trap. And we must make sure these countries know we have got these laws. And these laws were done to cure some mischief, whereby the public purse was abused, was people who controlled state power, either as politicians or as senior civil servants. And so we have to go back and restore the wealth of the land. We have got the lands which were grabbed from ADC, lands which were grabbed from wherever. We have to get those lands back. Research institutions have to go back to work. We must get Kenya back into working mode. We have to restore ministries that were producing goods and services like the Ministry of Works. Local people. Right now we are importing almost all our super highways from China. We can't afford that. And our engineers are rotting in their room. They're being told to go and work as watchmen and postmaster mail delivery but we must stand up, and I take up the challenge that somebody gave here, that we need to hold a space on the Kenya we want, on the kind of government we want to see happen. It's not enough to get rid of Ruto. It's not enough. We must replace Ruto, not get rid of Ruto. We must replace Ruto with something more viable, something bankable, and something that we are sure will deliver us out of the Babylon we find ourselves. And that something is is to have a commitment to implementing the Constitution in full. Those people who are behind NADICO and those kind of other efforts trying to change their Constitution, we must fight them. I'm happy that in the Senate so far, the way things stand is that we have decided to kill the amendment that wants to entrench CDF in the Constitution and other funds. There's also a fund there for the Senate. And we're saying that these things are just going to distort us and confuse us from being people who are charged with oversight to being people who are busy executing. Many years back, because they're very busy running around themselves trying to execute projects. So we must bring back our fidelity to the Constitution and embrace constitutionalism. Yeah, that the power a government has. The last generation to go on the streets istahili heshima. Thank you, and may God bless us.
Thank you, Element, to that. And I actually wanted to ask, how are you doing, my brother, my leader?
Well, we can't afford to be angry. We focus and we'll get them out.
Last week kuna mtu amekuja kwa space akasema umepigwa risasi kwa mkono. So we were
and I had some blood, but the people who were with me took the real bullets. There's a time they threw tear gas when we were sitting on this, what do you call it, Kenyatta Avenue, opposite Teleposta, between Teleposta and Teleposta and fell down to avoid the choking smoke so that we could get fresh air down there. And those guys the young men were lying on me. A volley of bullets live bullets were fired on us, and one chap got 7 bullets, another one got 6, another one 2, another one 1. I didn't get any bullet at that point. I was not hit because these young men were on top, and the 2 had multiple bullets are still in the wards, but are stable. They are stable. I've been visiting them, and I think they'll be able to pull through. So that's what happened. But it just shows you the speciality within which these people are doing. But there's a small militia. It's not the entire police. There's a small militia within the police, largely tribal grouping, which is the march back to Jerusalem from Babylon. We are going to go back and regain our republic, and we will keep it. So we are fine, and we are doing well, and we are fired up,
Thank
and
you
we
for the
are many.
update. Thank you
We
for the
are
update.
many.
And if you can let us know how we can help those ones who are wounded and in hospital, how we can actually contribute and help them, please. You have my DM is open. We follow each other. Please let us know what and how they're doing. Keep us posted and how we can actually help them. Thank you.
Yeah, so I'll get what I think the best thing to do, as I did with Boniface Mwaki Karaoke's father, is to give out their numbers so that we don't have interlopers. So anybody wants to help can help them directly. And I think that becomes easier. Then we eliminate the questions of accountability and what have you. We are sure that we are sending money to the right person. So we'll get their numbers and then we can share them. But they are in very high spirits. badly injured, but very fired up, very inspired. And are all young boys around 25 years old, small boys really. So it's very sad.
Well, thank you very much for your concern. Thank you for your time, your patience, and understanding. We've come to the end of our space tonight. We hope to do this on a weekly basis every Sunday, starting from as early as we did today. We invite you all to walk with us in this journey. And
There's a question if it's possible to.
there's one question that we actually missed that
Is somebody who comes on the street is struggling. And here you know that if we were to try anything in the dark, we might be messed up. You remember the Arab Spring happened a lot in the evenings. People were able to do daily because they could go and work, then come out in the evening and go into Tahrir Square or wherever and do their protests. Here we might not get very far with these killer squads who might take advantage of the darkness to rain mayhem on people. And because nobody will be held accountable, if they can try to create smoke screens and then unleash bullets during a smoke screen. So we may not be able to do town halls where we are able to point out those of us who have maybe the chance to see where the problem lies, to be able to educate our people on what the Constitution provides. Like I was talking to somebody the other day, and I just showed them they were complaining about the very high school fees, and I went and I opened for them the Constitution, Article 53B. Duty to bear the cost of a primary education and secondary education, because that's where you get children whom the Constitution defines as anybody under 18. So when I showed this person, I was really shocked to realize that it's an programs. So if we do that, if we do town halls and get people to understand what the Constitution is, what these people have sworn to uphold and what they are doing, we shall be able to kick them out of office. And I'm sure if we do that, I'm telling you, just like during the Vietnam War, when General Giap said, we don't have to attack Saigon, it will drop like a rotten fruit. Ruto will drop like a rotten fruit if we educate Kenyans politically on what the Constitution has and requires. Thank you.
and that duty of educating Kenyans and enhancing political and civic awareness is being taken through by a program called REKE. There's information out there with regard to what will be happening in the coming week. So watch out for that. Now, there are those who dare imagine that saying Ruto must go before 2027 is unconstitutional. Increasing the pressure day in, 27, which we believe is possible and we are pushing for. Have a good night and see you next Sunday. Thank you very much, Mamka.
Those who can make it.
Sleep early. The vigil for Boniface Mwangi Karaoke and all other victims of police brutality. We also have been called to attend court on Thursday and the burial in Kangema, Muranga County on Friday. Let us end police brutality. Let us all fight for the full implementation of our constitution. Let's get it done. Tekeleza, Kenya inakutegemea wewe.
They carry the spirit, fierce and keen. In every chant, in every song, they show the world where they belong. The drums are beating coast to coast. They love their country, they love the most. Sisi ni Wakenya, tuko pamoja, tupige sherehe. Sisi ni Wakenya, tuko pamoja, kwa shujaa na yale. Tunapiga nduru, tumeunganishwa na upendo. Miles apart, but hearts so near. With every cheer, we feel you, hear you. Lift the team, you light the flame. Kenya's pride, you carry the name. They wear the colors, black, red, green. They carry the spirit, fierce and keen. In every chant, in every song, they show the world where they belong. The drums are beating, the horns are loud. Kenyan diaspora, proud and unbowed. Dansi yetu, sauti juu, bendera hewani. From USA to Kenya, one family. Sisi ni diaspora wapenzi na tupeleka juu. Oh, miles apart, but hearts so near. With every cheer, sisi ni Wakenya, tuko pamoja.